Hello everyone and welcome back to Tone's Beatles channel. Lovely to have you here. Thanks for joining me for this video and I hope you're all doing well. In today's video I'm going to be showing a new addition to the collection, an album that I just picked up last week, and that is the US pressing of the 1977 compilation Love Songs. It's a double album, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what do you need that for? What do you need that for? And you're probably right. In fact, when I bought the UK version back in 1977, I didn't really need it then. I had all the songs that were on it, but I just bought it, well, just because I wanted to, I suppose. That's the reason why I bought this as well. But a couple of years ago, I guess it's a couple of years ago, I saw someone on YouTube showing the US version, and it's completely different to the UK version, not in terms of the material. The track listing is identical on both, but in terms of the packaging, it is completely different, and the US version is far superior to the UK version. We were really shortchanged in the UK with this album, but until I saw that video on YouTube, I had no idea that there was any difference between the two. And I thought back then, well, if I see one at a decent price in really good condition, then I'll pick it up. And I was browsing eBay a couple of weeks ago, and there was someone selling it. They graded it as being excellent as far as the record was concerned, and very good plus as far as the sleeve was concerned. He was offering free postage. He wanted 25 quid for it, so I offered him 20 and he went for it. So I said, why not? So in this video I'm going to be showing you the differences between the US version and the UK version, because maybe you didn't know there was any differences between the two either. I played my UK version a couple of months ago. I played my UK version. I was really surprised at how good it sounded, and also in what good condition it was in. There was hardly any surface noise on it at all, which probably indicates that I didn't play it very often back in 1977 or very much since then, which kind of indicates that I probably won't play this very much either. But I say, it is a really nice copy, and I'm a bit of a sucker for good packaging. So let's show you what the differences are between the two. So the Beatles' contract with EMI expired in 1976, and following that, EMI decided to undergo a project of releasing a Beatles compilation album almost annually. And the way that they decided that people needed to listen to Beatles music was in little genre-based compartments. And so in 1976 we got Rock and Roll Music, a double album. In 1977 we got Love Songs, a double album. In 1980 they released the Beatles Ballads. In 1982 they released the Beatles Real Music, songs from Beatles films. And also in 1982 they released the Beatles 20 Greatest Hits. Now, to release Love Songs in 1977, particularly in the UK, when the UK was, right in the throes of snot-tossing punk rock, might have seemed like a bit of a misstep, but actually the Love Songs album did very well in the UK album charts, getting to number 7. It did less well in the US. It got to number 24 on the Billboard chart, although it did sell far more than we had here in the UK. It sold 3 million versus 60,000 in the US. But the country where Love Songs did the best business, best business chart-wise, was New Zealand, where it got to number 3. Okay, so let's start looking at the differences between the US and the UK Love Songs album. So let's start with the sleeve. So this is the UK version. Now, this sort of leather effect that we've got on the sleeve on the UK version, it's completely smooth and a little bit shiny, and the picture of the Beatles here, which is taken from the famous Mount Rushmore shot that we see on the gatefold there, that is completely flat as well, and quite dull. And if we go to the US version, now I don't know if this is going to come across on the camera, but the the leather effect is actually raised. It's textured to the touch, and so it's different in that way. And the photo here, this is gold foil, and it's slightly embossed, so it's slightly raised to the touch there, much nicer, and you can kind of see the mirror effect on the foil there. So that's one difference. Then if we go to the back of the UK sleeve, now admittedly the track listing here, has faded with age here, but this is the side of the album where the type is its most clearest, and again, it's flat and it's quite dull. But if we go to the US version, look at that, look how shiny that is. The gold type against the brown sleeve it really stands out, and when you actually touch it, it is slightly embossed as well. Again, it's slightly raised there. I'll just show you the track listing for the album. We'll talk about that in a sec, but those are the tracks on the album. So that is the differences on the sleeve, but it doesn't end there. Okay, let's look at the inner sleeve. So this is the inner sleeve from the UK love songs. Now it just comes in a plain white standard EMI inner sleeve. Now sometimes when EMI issued these plain white inner sleeves, they would print the date of the pressing on the sleeve. Not always, but sometimes they did. I don't know why sometimes they did and sometimes they didn't, but that's EMI for you. But you can see on here we've got 9/77 printed there, meaning September 1977. So this is the original inner that Love Songs came in the UK. But in the US, and you're going to love this, in the US they came with printed inner sleeves. It's both the same on the front, but on the back you'll see that the track listing is there. So that's the first LP, and that is the second LP. But you'll also notice that the inner sleeves tells you which album the tracks come from, and because this is a Capitol album, it mentions the Capitol album that it came from, not the UK album. So for example, Yesterday comes from the Yesterday and Today album, not Help. I'll Follow the Sun comes from Beatles 65. Words of Love comes from Beatles 6, not Beatles for Sale. But this is the good one. This is the good one. If you can see there, the Long and Winding Road, that comes from the Beatles 1967 to 70. It says originally released March 1973. No mention of Let It Be. No mention of Let It Be, which is a bit weird, but to get printed in a sleeve, very happy about that. Now let's look at the vinyl. So this is the UK album. It's on the two EMI box Parlophone label, just like all the other stereo albums came in the 70s, that boring old label. And it's worth noting that is side 1 and that is side 2, and you're thinking, what's he telling us it's side 1 and side 2 for? Of course it is, but when you get to the Capitol version, that is the album. So custom label from the Mount Rushmore picture, that's on both sides, but this is side 1 and this is side 4. So it's geared up for those interchanger record decks or whatever. There we have side 2 there and side 3 there. And noticing the difference in weight, this is much more flimsy than this. This is a much thicker vinyl than the UK version. So that is the differences on the vinyl. And now that's everything. So basically in the UK, all we got was the 2 LPs in white inner sleeves, nothing else. But also included in the Capitol version of the album is this booklet. and this is a lyrics book, and it's got this sort of kind of like fake parchment appearance there, and inside, we open it up, you've got the lyrics for each song. Each song has got its own page with the songwriters and the publishing credits, and it's kind of written in that sort of, you know, posh font calligraphy. Is that what they call it? Calligraphy. Then you get, you know, I Need You and Girl. I won't go through them all. They're all the same, but you get you know, the same. You get a single page for each song on the album. Very nice, very nice. So that is all the differences between the US and the UK versions. So while I'm here, I might as well speak a little bit about the Love Songs album, and I think generally it's a pretty good compilation album. There are some killer tracks on here. You know, it's got Girl on it, and In My Life, and Here, There and Everywhere, and For No One, and Something, and stuff like that. You know, there's a few questionable choices. I probably wouldn't have included Words of Love on this cover because, you know, believe it or not, the Beatles were pretty good at writing love songs. I don't think there's any need to put a cover version on this album. There's a couple of other dubious choices. Tell Me What You See, I don't think is in the same class as some of the other love songs. You could even make a case for saying, well, She's Leaving Home, as great as it is, it's not really a love song. And it's interesting to see how EMI or Capitol, you know, defined what a love song was. It looks as though from the songs that they chose that a love song is just a ballad. You can't have any fast songs on a you know, on a love song album. In fact, the fact that they do consider it to be a ballad is borne out by this album, The Beatles Ballads, which was the compilation that followed this one, and 10 tracks on this Beatles Ballads album appeared on the Love Songs album. So, you know, they didn't consider that love songs don't have to be ballads. They could be upbeat. Please Please Me is a love song, isn't it? Can't Buy Me Love is. I Feel Fine is. I would probably have replaced, you know, some of those tracks that I just mentioned with, say, something like Two of Us, which is a love song, a great upbeat love song. Oh Darling could have been on this as well. I think that although there is a good you know, good span of tracks to a certain extent, there's not much from the later period on this. I think only 3 tracks are post Revolver on this, or four tracks post Revolver on this. Long and Winding Road, Something, She's Leaving Home, and I Will are the only ones, you know, past Revolver that are on here. So they could have, you know, added some later period stuff to this as well. But as I said on the Sgt. Pepper video that I did last week, there's no love songs on that, but there are other love songs from the later period that they could have included. Anyway, as I say, I think it's a good compilation album, but, you know, as I said before, there's no such thing as the perfect compilation album for everyone, because if you ask 100 fans what they would put on it, you'd get 100 different answers, that's for sure. For those of you who are interested in this sort of stuff, I did look up which pressing of the US love songs I had on Discogs, and it is the Winchester pressing. Anyway, do you have this version of the Love Songs album, especially if you're outside of the US? Please let me know what you think about it, and the rest of you, you know, if you want to tell me what you think about the Love Songs album in general, you know, I'd love to hear from you. You know, I'll read all your comments and I will respond to all your comments as well. Okay, that is it from me. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye.